After the game, I spoke with, and first of all, Darrow Donovan and Cian Lynch are basically Xavi and Iniesta. The way they can play that ball up the field is incredible. But afterwards, I spoke to John Kiely, and I was trying to ask him, you know, what is it that you're doing, and how long did it take to develop this game plan? Now, obviously, he didn't want to give too much away, but what he did say is, listen, Paul Kinnerk would have his principles on how the game should be played, and they align very much with how I think the game can be played. So that's a huge starting point. It probably suits our players the way we play. We have to be able to change it too, and not every day can you go out and do it. Your cope with his loss. It must be a typo there. But if we get an image up on screen, we can just look at how Limerick set up when they don't have the ball in their own half of the field. It should be coming up now. There's an image with 12 players in their own half of the field. This isn't the first time that I've put an image up like this either. So people say you can get a still image to prove anything. But this is happening over and over and over again. So 12 players within 55 yards of their own goal. Never mind that, they're all condensed to more or less one half of the field, and there's nobody inside the 21 either. So you're talking about 35-yard space. You've got 11 players. The goalkeeper's obviously staying back.
And the three Waterford players, while trying to play something of their role there, are actually totally out of the game.
They're redundant, because if you go back to that image, you can see the half-back line. They don't want to expose their full back line, because they know that Limerick at times play that single file forward line. At times they play two inside, one in front, but it's always narrow, so there's space to play. You'll see here, number 11 there, I think, is actually Cian Lynch, marked out on the pitch there. He's about to receive the ball, and if he's running into space, he can just easily bypass all three of those guys. So for Waterford, do you push up on him, or do you stand off him? Because either way, you know, Limerick are trying to work that ball into space.
Probably committing maybe one body more into that ruck and drop. If you're going to have those three bodies there, drop two of them actually back to the 45-yard line, where they will actually be effective. If they can score a point from out the field, fair enough, but you have to make sure that there are bodies covering bits of space there to make sure Galan and the boys don't have that kind of room to work with.
We'll move on to the next image here now, because we want to look at some of the options that you have inside for Limerick when they get the ball. Now you can see here, and again, people have criticised Dublin for having a sweeper against Limerick, which is Sean Moran standing on the edge of the D, and we have it here in the tactics board, which I'll go to in a second. But just, if you look at this here, this is basically halfway inside the 65 and 45 of Limerick, all the way to the far end of the field, and there's 4 Limerick players there.
Hey, but it's not good, the space they have to have into already.
So because Limerick go back and win the ball by crowding you so heavily, and having 12 players or 11 players in this instance in their own half, and if you have 4 guys playing narrow enough like that in the other half of the field, when they win that ball in defence, Limerick have got nothing but space to play the ball.
You know where that ball is going now as well. I can't remember that play, but I'd be amazed if that ball isn't going to the left corner.
Yeah, we'll move on to the next image here as well. Again, really narrow. You can see Tom Morrissey and Kyle Hayes, 2 half forwards, back in their own half of the field. So if we just move over to the tactics board here for a second, get the camera in on this. On the top half of the board, effectively, this is how Limerick set up. This is how Waterford set up. Which is the more defensive? This is Limerick with 1, 2, 3 in their own half, at times 4, as we've just shown. But it's like this would happen a lot, that you'd have maybe Galan, Graham Mulcahy, and the other inside forward is Peter Casey, and they could be in any sort of setup there. Whereas Waterford are trying to, okay, we'll mark our guy, we'll leave an extra guy back at times, and we'll try and keep our half back line fairly solid. But essentially their forwards are absolutely outnumbered at the other end of the field, and people will say Limerick are the attack-minded team and Waterford are the defensive team. Yet Limerick have 12 in their own half.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you, and it's something Rory O'Connor from Wexford said yesterday, like, that they get a bad rap for playing the sweeper. He said it's either play the sweeper or play a load of extra defenders or dropping lads back, and that's essentially what Limerick, it's essentially what the template Galway had in 2017 as well, and it's very, very effective, because if you're crowding this area here and are able to win the ball here, like, a lot of the time it's just putting it over the traffic, it's putting it over these bodies here then. And then you're golden inside, really, you know. Like,
Dublin would have been criticised for Sean Moran standing there, but it was the same thing all across the field. They're getting crowded out at the other end of the field. We'll cycle quickly through a couple more of the images that we have left just from the game on Sunday. You can see here it's one man up. I think that was possibly Graham Mulcahy. If a good ball goes into space there, he's the only guy, like, he's standing on the edge of the D, he's the only guy within 50 yards of the Waterford goal there as well.
A lot of it, just on the defensive point thing there, is that, like, if that's Nolan Connors marking Graham Mulcahy, I'm not too sure who it was at the time, like, they have to talk to the man in front. He has to be basically telling him left, right, because otherwise Mulcahy is in total control. He goes left or right. Could take 2 of them out of the game conceivably.
Yeah, you need Connor standing on one side telling the other defender, I want you to stand on the left side here so that you can get get to it first if it goes left, I can get to it first if it goes right. We move on to the next image. Yeah, you can see once again this is how narrow the Limerick forwards are playing, meaning that there's 40 yards of space on either wing. So if you spread out really wide, it's kind of easy to mark a half forward if you can stand inside him and you're nicely spread out with your other half back line and your full back line. We'll go on to the next image. And again, this is, I think Limerick had a free in this situation. So they've got 3 guys inside who are bunched fairly close together, half forward line in single file, and nothing but options in space. You can see those arrows up on the screen. So the Limerick forwards can go anywhere they want.
The thing about lads standing so close together there as well is, and a lot of times they'd be even closer, and you can check if I'm playing corner forward and I'm not the one making the run, I can check the run of a defender and I can give your forward an extra couple of yards or that type of thing. Plus they know where they're going. They probably have, it's probably a pattern that they have. First free that comes in like that, I'm going left, you're going right, you're going to the middle, or vice versa, or 2 are going left, 2 are going right, and they have it. Like, John Kiely's never going to tell you much about what's going on, but that's down to a fine art on the training field. That's repetitive over and over and over again. It looks like natural movement, but it's just sheer practice.
It's as pre-planned as it gets.